So basically, like Simon was saying, the marketplace is open source. You set the direction as a community member. If there's something that you think is cool and should be on the marketplace, you can either add it yourself if you feel confident. You can ask us for help, just like Andy was saying, if you don't feel as confident, or you can just sort of, suggest like, how about X? And then, somebody, either one of us or another, community member could run with it and get it up there for you. It's all maintained on GitHub as open source software. So you add applications by raising a pull request, which is what we're going to do hopefully today. And the idea of the marketplace is that it's designed to get you up and running as quickly as sort of as possible. None of us necessarily enjoy tinkering with the same things every time we install a cluster. We all, like Siam was saying, we all have the sort of basic building blocks that we tend to work with. So why not automate having those every time that you're deploying a new, as I've said here, herd of cattle or a cluster. Why contribute? First of all, if you've got an app that you like to use, think is useful, chances are that there's others out there that would also think that it's cool. I think it's like important to not underestimate the fact that there are so many things out there that people honestly aren't going to know about unless you shout about them being cool and them being useful. So if you have encountered something that you find is providing you with functionality that you like, add it in. Like it's genuinely helpful to everybody. You can also speed up your own development time as well as helping others. Plus the all-important open source cred. We are in Hacktoberfest. This is not a Hacktoberfest repository, but then again, every contribution counts for your personal sense of cred. There's a couple of things that you need to consider if you have an app that you think would be useful in the marketplace. So the first thing would be that you test a manual installation of the files that that make up the application, the YAMLs, the configurations, the resource definitions, etc., onto a fresh cluster, just making sure that when applied manually, your manifests and everything else work. Then you kind of have to keep an eye out on new versions of the app that you're adding. So you probably are anyway, because you're interested in the app, but you're sort of, it would be really helpful if you're kind of clued into that app's development, so that if there's a major new version, we can get that updated in ASAP. And then the other thing would be to just have like a really clear set of instructions for any post-installation things, such as having the ingress created based on your specific cluster's specifications. The other things that to consider for contribution would be to write a guide to deploying and basic usage of the app. Not all apps are things like WordPress that everybody's familiar with. So if you want to just have a kind of cool little description of what is what's special about that app, then that would be cool. And then yeah, for extra credit, do a community talk. These are fun. Take 10 minutes of your day. I mean, plus the time that you actually make the slides. So for the demo that we're going to, fingers crossed, do, we're going to raise a pull request for the Jaeger operator. And we're going to start with a fresh cluster. I've prepared the manifest files based on the Jaeger operation manifests, done a little tiny bit of customization specific for Civo, mostly sort of removing GKE things that they were already in there. And we're going to apply that manifest manually, confirm that it works, and then raise a pull request to the repository with the other files that are required. So the post-installation file, a little image icon to show, and a description of the app. I'll run through them as we go through. And then hopefully we can get the pull request merged and the Civo site redeployed, allowing you to use Jaeger tonight after this, this session. So, fingers crossed, everybody. We're going to start by very quickly so this is my personal fork of the Kubernetes Marketplace. And I have not committed anything to it, but we'll be starting the pull request from here. This is the Jaeger operator that has a whole bunch of files, some of them fairly long, that I consolidated into our app. So the actual app YAML is something like 10,000 lines long because it's got a ton of things that it then monitors for various types of resources, but I've mostly just sort of consolidated all of it. The other thing is I have written a tiny description. Jaeger operator is a Kubernetes operator implementation of the Jaeger distributed tracing tool, which is going to appear in the little box when you click on the marketplace. And I've chosen a category for it, and this specifies the current version of the application that I am adding to the marketplace. The logo needs to be a PNG of not very big because they sort of load up as little things. And then this is the tiny post-installation markdown document that gets added. So without further ado, let's, can you just confirm that you can read this terminal screen sort of? Yeah, all good. So this is the same folder. So we've got the app.yaml, and it's a fresh cluster with nothing deployed in it. As you can see above here, I've just sort of done so it's got the default applications of Trafic, which handles ingress, and the metric server, which is part of K3s. So we're going to apply this app.yaml, and it creates all the bits that it needs. And then if we do the, while it's running those additions, and what we're going to do is create this, this type of Jaeger object that will then allow us to view it. So what we're going to do is create a file. And apply that. So now, hopefully, we should be able to we've got Jaeger running on there on the cluster. So let's take a look at our Civo account, where we should see the cluster details. And let's get the URL of the, oh, that's not good. That was unexpected. May not have been applied yet, or come up live yet. Demigods be damned. Basically, what that should show is the is this part here, which shows the simplest query showing on the port, on the default ingress port. I'm going to have to investigate why that's not showing up during the next talk, but once I do, we're going to put this pull request through and hopefully get that redeployed. Sorry about that not showing up. It definitely did when I was practicing, but yeah, we're going to come back to my presentation toward the end anyway. So I'm going to hand it now back to Andy. You know, once I'd appeased the demigods and realized that I wasn't applying the ingress to the right namespace because I wasn't. What we have now is, first of all, Jaeger UI running on my cluster, and the merged pull request that I filled in while it was Steve's talk or possibly Jürgen's. And then the Civo site rebuilt in the last couple of minutes, which means that when you go to your cluster page to look at your applications, what's this under monitoring? All right, Jaeger operator version 1.2.0. So all that was based on one very long line of YAML, or a very long file of YAML defining the namespace and the resources that it needs, a manifest that describes it, little logo file, and custom install that I fixed, and a friendly pull request to a very friendly team here at Civo. So you know, if you want to contribute any kind of project, any kind of app to the marketplace, even if you think like one other person would find it useful, or even if you would just find it useful as something that would help you in the process of you managing your clusters, you know, like just go ahead. It's we're trying to make it as easy and as welcoming as possible. So thanks everybody for listening.